Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Thursday to you. Hope you're having a fantastic day and a wonderful week so far. We're taking a quick look here again at Bitcoin, our old friend, our old pal Bitcoin here. It's funny because we're talking in our Discord about ways to represent Bitcoin. This is pretty much the best way to explain what's happening lately. Just a complete manic depressive nut job. But again, that's if Bitcoin was a thing. At this point, what it is not a thing. It's a monetary value, something that we can trade and hopefully learn to become better at trading it, right? So best way to look at it, honestly, right now is back-end data, which is effectively just this liquidation as well as manipulation. Those are two of the most driving forces right now in trading. Whereas, looking back at history and patterns, they're really not repeating themselves much anymore now that big money's in play. And we have, ETF approval, Bitcoin halving coming up here in roughly a week. It's an interesting dynamic right now, folks. So this the next 20 days, sorry, I would just say the next 10 days, we may as well just say the remainder of the month, we're going to see some extreme volatility, and it's just completely nonsensical. Anyways, just heads up on that, be careful. Do me a favor though, hit the like button, comment below before we get started, deeply appreciate it. What's your position on Bitcoin? You long, you short? Are you indifferent? Do you care less? What's up with you? Let me know. Comment below. All right, so let's double check this here. Quickly, this last 7 days of liquidation, we can see we swept a decent amount of liquidation at that 67,600 mark. Price ramped back up to destroy a bunch of shorts, and now here we are kind of left with a scattered amount of longs and shorts. Simply to put it though here, 67,300, heavy concentration of liquidation, down as low as about 66. So we could just say the range of 66 to 68 is a rough estimate of liquidation there, and then above us to 72 to 74. In fact, if I recall correctly, there's a pretty heavy concentration above us based on the monthly. Look at this here. Look at these shorts. These shorts are probably getting a little concerned right now. At least I would be considering that 73,000 heavy amount of liquidation at that level. So based on larger time frames, like more of a macro perspective, there makes more sense for the price to go up than down. Just kind of looking at this here. Again, there's no guarantees of that, but it's a pretty big number there. There's a lot of liquidation at that price point. Okay, so again, keep in mind that is a thing. If we take a look, of course, now at the charts and how that's reflected on the charts, let's quickly double check a few things. First things first, we'll start with not futures because the CME gap. Oh, actually, we could touch on this. The CME gap here was filled, the more recent one. Just keep in mind, I'm not trying to concern you at all, but 63,800, 63,900, right in that range, is the lowest point of the most recent CME gap that hasn't officially been filled. It got halfway filled. We got a wick all the way down to like 65K. In fact, I added to my bag pretty heavy at that point. But this is an area in which we could see a retrace once more, just as a possibility. So I would just, friendly advice, maybe consider doing this, because I think anything in the $60,000 or less range is very unlikely right now, considering how much buying pressure we see as soon as the price comes down. If that gap gets filled, you should have a limit order in place. I have a pretty substantial limit order at 64,000 and 64.5. Just to give you perspective, because that's roughly what the range is right there for that. So anyways, that's the CME gap. Can it get filled? Maybe. It's not a guarantee, but statistically they are more likely to occur. Bitcoin dominance is still on the rise, so we do see a lot of altcoins still struggling to recover. But generally speaking, this is not a terrible thing, considering Bitcoin is stabilizing back at its level. And generally speaking, once we hit this 54-55% range, or at least the upper 54 to low 55% range, you can generally see the price action slow down, and then altcoins start to take off, right? And again, keep in mind, altcoin dominance is pretty low. It's not like in the big picture where it needs to be much higher or can be much higher. So when we saw the previous run back in 2022, we saw altcoin dominance coming way up. Again, Bitcoin was pretty low at that price point too, but right now with Bitcoin being priced in high, we're seeing that plateau, so to speak. So anyways, the bottom line here is with where we're at in the current scenario for Bitcoin dominance, it makes sense. But with it being a little bit higher, we're seeing altcoins struggle a little bit. Once that starts to taper off, my speculation, we'll see that start to taper off this weekend, and we'll start to see some green this weekend for alts. Again, it's all hypothetical for the moment. So, okay, let's take a look at the daily time frame and work our way down. Moving averages are as follows. We are above all moving averages. And again, that was an important thing yesterday, close above the 20-day SMA. It lets us know we're still in this ascending trend and that the trend is our friend still, okay? So absolutely looking good here in this regard. We could draw out another trend line. In fact, I'll just go ahead and remove this most recent one And now that we've broken below the previous, I'll go ahead and turn that one off, and we'll just go ahead and put this guy out here. Okay. This is an exact trend line. This is kind of an aggressive trend line. It's more of a short-term trend line. But if you look at this here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts to break through that descending trend, the ascending trend, and effectively haven't had any luck yet. So that is something we want to pay attention to. Keeping above that would be very helpful. That would allow for us to break through and to complete this this pattern. So I don't know if you can see these purple lines here. They're probably hard to see, but this is a type of pattern that we're seeing here forming, which is leading me to believe that we are more likely to break to the upside than the downside, especially with this higher highs, higher low pattern that we're seeing here. Okay. So again, all good stuff there in that regard. If we take a look at this here, we're over 50 on the RSI. Check number one, important factor complete. Money flow index is still coming down, but you got to recognize that's very standard because of how much money flowed into the coin originally. So comparing now with money flow versus before, it is lower, yes, but it's still substantial enough, especially if you look on smaller time frames. We can see MACD here, of course, as well. Trying to converge, hasn't fully yet. If we do end up breaking through this descending trend line and just say, reclaim that 72,500 mark or higher, we will be converging on the MACD and likely to continue to break new all-time highs. But at this point here, everything's kind of standard. We are diverging on stochastic a little bit there, but that's again par for the course when you have such a strong pullback like we saw yesterday. Okay, so having said all that, 4-hour time frame, if we quickly note here, just kind of zooming out, the average true range, or basically the point of control, just so you know, based on volume here, is this level at about 67,000. So that's a very strong support range for us. We actually wicked almost all the way down perfectly to that level yesterday. So the good news is, so much buying pressure at 67,000, the likelihood of breaking through it to the downside is lower because we'd need billions of dollars to come through the market to be able to hit that. Now we did see, $2 billion sold at the exact same time within 10 minutes. I sent out an update there on my Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, but if you look here at about, when the price dropped down to 67,000, that's what caused that. It was $2 billion worth of Bitcoin sold in 10 minutes. So that was pretty crazy. Either way, looking at the charts minus the point of control, which is very positive, being below the price action, we can see here as well, we're over 50 on the RSI, back over 50. Money flow index is increasing. Well, again, it's not monumentally high. It is higher compared to previous. And again, this is always skewed when you have manipulation in the market and the price action wicks down as well as it did. Okay. Again, that was the CME, not CME, that was the CPI data yesterday that caused everything to kind of open up really terrible. And it just instantly recovered like a nut job. All right, so pretty odd the way that happened, but it was just manipulation 101. Sweep the longs, sweep the shorts, and then they can just do what they want with the price action. Everyone's left wondering what the heck just happened, and they're walking away with millions of dollars. It's insane. Anyways, stochastic swinging down here with money flow index coming up. I'm not really too concerned with stochastic swinging down, but I can tell you that generally speaking, we could be seeing a shift in momentum. And what I mean by that is just that's reflected here on the charts already. So that shift has already occurred. And it's just a matter of if it bottoms out or not. We could see this 0.5 fib level act as a support, which we did see 0.618 work as a resistance level. So 70,500, we're going to need some more volume to get through that level, right? However, we're kind of consolidating at 0.5 right there at about 69.9. So this little range here we're kind of stuck with, and we're going to see here if we can break up or break down. Ideally, the direction we want to go is up so we can honor this ascending trend line, but it's okay if it does kind of wick down a little bit here and there. Having said all that, to me personally, being over 50 on the RSI is a very positive sign. MACD got a slight FU here recently, but looking to try to converge once more. So these are mostly positive factors. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say it's like optimal, but it is good. Again, just because we're under the 20-day SMA isn't a big deal on the 4-hour. I think it's more important we're above these other three moving averages, and they're all hanging out right there in this lower 0.236, 0.382 fib level. So right there between 68.5 and 69.2. Okay, so it's a good little range. We got a nice amount of support there based on recent volume, but also long-term volume at 67,000. So again, I think the likelihood of this lower level of liquidity getting swept at 67K, if you look at the last 7 days, I think it's fairly low. And again, that's just my personal opinion because we have a lot of support at that range, but I don't think we're going to see that level swept unless we see another $2 to $3 billion sold off in a matter of minutes. And I think the probability that's pretty low considering we don't have a fundamental catalyst on the horizon. So I think that we're looking and shooting to be okay. Again, we'll see here soon, obviously, if that is the case, but we are holding the line here fairly well at 69/70K and looking pretty solid. Quickly to note on the hourly, let's just double check this here and see where we're at. We did officially break above the cloud. We've kind of been wavering on the upper lead here. So generally speaking, that's a positive sign. Because again, once you break through that upper lead, it's considered to be a support range. So we also have this lower guy here working as a support too. So in general, that reaffirms the support that we have at 69,400. And I think the ultimate consideration here is that the price should go up. So if you're looking for a confirming factor, we're soon to get that here by being above the cloud. However, you got to keep in mind lagging spans kind of getting close to the price action. So it's not necessarily a solid green light to take a long. If you do take a long position, low leverage, low position size, that's really the best way to go. And when I say low position size, it's not that you just use it $5. You typically use a percentage of your portfolio and you use that same amount every single time. So a good rule of thumb to me is just a standard round number. So for you, just say you have $10,000 in your portfolio, maybe $500 per trade, right? That's considered to be a good safe approximate or a good safe number. To give you examples, money makers or market movers, however you want to look at it, they use typically no more than 2% in traditional markets. Crypto, it's more like 5 or 6. It really just depends on who you are and what you plan to do, but never more than 5%, I think, is recommended. Just because if you just say you lose a trade, you're not going to be jeopardizing your entire portfolio, only a small percent each time. Okay. Again, that's kind of the idea. All right, anyways, enough rambling there. I hope this made sense. This is basically where we're at here. There's no other way to really cut it here. It's not fantastic, it's not optimal, but it's better than it was yesterday. And with us having that previous resistance level here, that's going to work as a new support. So my anticipation is 69.5, 69.4 will be our support level here today. If we can hold above that level, close above that level, we'll be in a pretty good position to be able to see the price action continue further up. All right. Ideally, we're going to be able to continue further higher moving forward, but I'd be okay with just some sideways action for a little while to let altcoins recover, Bitcoin dominance decrease, and alts start to surge. I'm expecting that to happen this weekend, but we'll see here soon if that's the case. Thanks so much for watching again. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and do yourself a favor. Join my Trading Academy community and signals group. It's phenomenal. We've had some really, really good results. I forgot to share this with you, but last night was a really good night here for us. We took 20% profit on Dogecoin in 8 hours and Bluezell 24% in 10 hours, and we're profitable and up on our Casper trade as well, or Caspa, depending on how you want to say it. I'll cover all those here shortly. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.